All right, guys. So instead of jumping in and talking about blood work and listing all the great markers that we're looking at and just monologuing to people, I wanted us to sit down and have a conversation. We've been at this for years now and seen a lot of different people come across our table, a lot of different reasons they're getting blood work, doing things like that. I think the objective of this conversation is to help the viewers understand that blood work is incredibly valuable, but it's really only revealing part of their health, right? Like the goal is not to diminish blood work, but I want to challenge the assumption that it tells the whole story. So the question we'll start off with, and either one of you guys can jump in, is if your blood work came back completely normal tomorrow, let's say, would you assume that you're healthy?
I can chime in. For the average person, I think that we see coming in, my answer would be healthy, yes. Optimized, no. So a lot of the clients that we see come in and we do blood work, or they bring in blood work, or they bring in maybe months of blood work or years of blood work, and it on paper looks what most physicians would deem normal or healthy. It really doesn't translate into optimal health for that client.
Yeah.
They oftentimes come in with similar complaints, similar symptoms about their health, but their blood work looks completely normal. So,
Yeah. I mean, how many times have we seen somebody come in and they're like, I don't feel good. And then
Yeah.
we get the blood work back and they're like, well, the blood work looks normal.
I mean, I have my personal experience with
Yeah.
it. I've recently had the best blood work I've had in 5 years, and we've done deeper diagnostics, and I'm like, this kind of feels off, that kind of feels off. Blood work looks great, but then we're running these extra diagnostics. I'm like, oh, it's lifestyle. It's something I'm predisposed to. I can add in, this, take out that kind of thing. So even with us personally, I've seen it myself.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think about, all the stuff that we've talked about, my recurring focus in my health, because again, everything on paper, especially blood work outside of, high cholesterol, like looks healthy, is my risk for Alzheimer's dementia. Like that wasn't anywhere on there, right?
Yeah.
But now that I have the greater context outside of blood work, like I recognize that some of the things on my blood work, like elevated inflammation markers, right? Like something I got to pay a little closer attention to.
Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception? Kevin, I'd love to hear from you from like a medical standpoint, right? And then Teresa from more of like a patient standpoint, maybe things you've heard talking to patients. The biggest misconception people have about blood work.
I think with blood work, you are getting a snapshot of what is going on biologically inside of your body at that very moment that we took your blood. Maybe for that week or for the day or two, before we took your blood, we can see the processes that are occurring in levels of certain things that we're checking at that very moment in time. So the misconception, I think, would be that if everything on your blood work is within that window, that every marker has a normalized window of what your doctor wants to see your levels at. It doesn't really give you an extended future look at what could be happening. With the blood work, you would need to see a trend to get any type of significant information from it. So you would need at least 3 blood works to see what's going on. So one blood work at one time is not going to give you a complete story about what's going on inside of your body. You would need at least, like we said, 3 blood works to see some type of trend. Is this marker going up? Is this marker going down? Is it staying the same? So the biggest misconception, I think, is that if everything is looking good on the blood work, then there's nothing that I have to worry about. My future is,
Yeah, if you try to extrapolate a snapshot into a holistic view of your overall health, like you're gonna make some false assumptions, right? Like how many times have we seen on patients' blood work, like they come in normal, and then one time this one marker is like way out in left field. Patient typically kind of freaks out a little bit. And we're like, hey, no, it's probably just, whether it's something with the lab or it's something off in what your lifestyle currently, and then we retest and it's fine.
Yeah, there are fluctuations, naturally occurring fluctuations that are going to be seen in your blood work, like testosterone. You could come in, at the beginning of the year, you test your hormones, your testosterone is 400, you come back a month later, you're assuming that your testosterone is probably going to be around that level, but you happen to go to the gym before you came to do your blood work, and now you come in and your testosterone is 700. Yeah. And you're like, well, am I low, or was that just a one-off? Which one was the one-off?
Yeah.
So the blood work is like trying to take a snapshot of a hour and 20-minute movie and just take an image, a single frame from that movie, and be like, we can tell what the whole movie is.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
How about you? What are you hearing from patients, right? Conversations with people that are coming in. What do they think about blood work that's maybe not true?
I mean, I think that everybody's kind of piggybacking off of the I'm healthy and I feel fine. It's a piece of a larger puzzle. There's a lot of systems. There's a lot of avenues that your blood work looks the way that it does. So like you said, talking about the testosterone, I don't think people really put two and two together that your lifestyle, your decisions that you're making affects all of that.
Your diet, your
exactly.
sleep, your stress level at the moment.
Everything.
These are affecting all of the...
A lot of clients sometimes are surprised with some levels that they may have. But then again, it's also, I think we do a very good job of, it's not a freak out moment. It's looking further and then finding a root issue of it, because like I said, it's just a piece of a bigger puzzle. Yeah,
absolutely. I think I'll piggyback both on what both you guys said, in that, and Kevin, you kind of alluded to it, right? Like, blood work doesn't necessarily show trajectory unless you have multiple. But even still, and this is kind of more of a question than it is a statement, as long as stuff is staying inside of range, right? Does traditional healthcare, like, let's say, I'm going to use cholesterol. Maybe you can think of a marker that would make sense to use in this analogy, but let's say you have a marker that's right dead center of the normal range. Next blood work creeps up a little bit, still very much in range. Next blood work creeps up a little bit. So over a year, maybe it's gone from dead center to like middle to high end of normal range. In traditional healthcare, is that any cause for alarm?
I think for the most part, no. I don't think that what you're going to find with traditional healthcare is going to be micromanaging of these types of markers. So if it is in that, now a good provider would see, that trend and start to, kind of assume what the future could hold. So they might look into it, but if somebody's, seeing 50 patients a day and they're, you're one of a 100 different people that they're seeing in the week, it might not be something that they hit on or really want to look deeper into, because there's just not enough time to spend with you to optimize your health. If it's, the doctors are there to make sure that nothing is in the extreme high or low. But yeah, I think it probably would be missed, for lack of better terms, because if it's within that normal window, it's still technically, you're still healthy.
Still normal. Yeah. That's, anything to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, it's also, again, going back to lifestyle. If you're showing up and you're fit and you're telling your doctor, I'm eating well, this is my diet, I'm working out 4 times a week, and your liver enzyme or marker seems to be creeping up a little bit, they're like, don't worry about it, it's a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then again, that goes back into blood work just kind of being a snapshot of that. Is there something deeper going on, and looking into that marker
the thing
further.
that became really interesting to me, and I didn't recognize it at first when we first opened and we're just doing blood work, right? But we're supposed to be preventive medicine. And maybe we're looking at blood work and taking it more seriously this generation 10, 20 years earlier than our parents' generation did. It's still reactive though. Like, it's still, we are looking at something that's already existing, reacting to it. Again, it's just a snapshot. And then 6 months later, seeing what changed, reacting to that. Like, I don't think we actually got into preventive medicine until we started doing the other diagnostics that are giving us an opportunity to really get out ahead of stuff instead of reacting to what's already there. What do you guys think about that? Yeah,
absolutely. When you go have your blood work done, whether it's with your physician or if you come to see us or any type of clinic in the optimization and longevity space, you're essentially going in and saying, well, let's see what problems are going on right now. Like you're not assuming, you don't really know what you're up against. You're just kind of doing your best with your health and your diet and exercise and trying to cover all the bases. But you're going in blindly kind of and saying like, what are we going to see? Yeah. And then once you find a problem, then you try to redirect and fix that. But you don't have most people don't have a game plan or an idea of what they are up against with their health in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And I've found too that it's not always about, at least from our approach, right? It's not always about finding more problems, right? It's sometimes about reducing assumptions that like, hey, we can look at, always talk about the genetic testing along with the blood work and how it gives us context that like, hey, if we're only looking at blood work and we're making interventions from a supplemental therapeutic lifestyle standpoint and nothing's really changing, without that additional context, we're just making assumptions as to why it's not working. But if we get into other diagnostics, right, now we're able to better understand and give that context and reduce that assumption of, hey, here's why this changed this way or didn't change. And that's been pretty cool to see kind of the evolution.
Yeah. I agree.
So I'm going to wrap up with two final questions before we jump into, I'll give you what they are. So what's something that patients say all the time that surprises you guys?
That they haven't done blood work in years and years and years.
Why is that important?
In the grand scheme of things, I'm a rookie in the health and wellness industry. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you the last time I did blood work before I started in this.
Yeah.
And it's every blood work I've done, every 6 months to a year, something has been different, whether it's better, whether it's worse. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're in an era now where people are taking their health and wellness into their own hands. Blood work is becoming more popular. Yeah. Consecutive blood work and keeping up with it is more popular. But I mean, we have clients come in and when was your last blood work? Oh, a decade ago. I don't know. They're healthy. They feel great. We run their labs and there's a multitude of markers that are off. And I think that people in the life and being busy in the everyday and kids and school and just life and bills and this and that normal feeling is their norm. They don't know that they don't feel the best that they can feel.
Well, yeah. And it's like, how do you even make decisions about your health if you don't know what's going, like,
right.
There's just no way without some visibility. And again, we've established, I think blood work's great, but it's kind of limited visibility. Mm-hmm. But without even having that, visibility just ultimately is leading to better decisions, right? That's what it's all about, for us at least. Mm-hmm. It's not, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's like, how do we make the best decision for our patient? It's something that's kind of become a thesis for us. It's not just like, hey, we're going to take our best guess at what's going to help you, right? There are places doing that. Yeah. And it's more of like, let's really go deep and understand. And those are the people that seem to value what we do. It's like, we're going to get a really wide look and deep look at your entire system. And then from there, make the best educated, because look, the human system is very complex. Mm-hmm. We don't know everything by any means, but look at as much information as we possibly can, right? Synthesize it together and then make a recommendation based on that, not just some assumption. How about you? What kind of crazy stuff are you hearing from?
No, I think to go along with what Teresa said is that most of the clients that we see when we ask them about their primary care provider or, how often they're doing blood work, the answer is, I don't have a primary care provider and I don't do regular blood work. And
why do you think that is? Why do you think people don't have a regular primary or doing blood work regularly?
I think it comes down to, a lot of the times with insurance, everything is becoming very expensive. If you have a large family and, the insurance policies are probably outrageous. Yeah. But I think it's something that's in the back of the average person's mind. Just like we were talking about being reactive, nobody is really thinking in terms of I need to preserve my health. I need to, be covering all sorts of different bases with my health specifically, but yet they will take care of their cars and keep them immaculately maintained, and their houses are immaculately maintained, and they have all these things going on, but on the back burner is preserving their health and maintaining their bodies.
So this is an important point. I want to ask you this question from a medical professional standpoint, right? Like you hit the nail on the head. People don't look at their bodies the same way they do every other thing in their lives, their houses, their cars that need maintenance, right? Maintenance on a house, maintenance on a car absolutely extends the useful life of the house or the car.
Mm-hmm.
Our healthcare system doesn't support or reward taking that same approach with our bodies.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of been conditioned into like, all right, we're just going to react. Wait till in our car, wait till the check engine light comes on, wait till we blow a tire out, wait till the engine fails, right? Same thing. That's kind of how we approach the health. So the question is, right, does taking preventive measures when it comes to your health actually extend the useful life of your body?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why don't people understand that?
I'll play devil's advocate.
Sure.
How many clients do we have that have insurance, that have a PCP, and they're still coming to us because they're not doing what they're asking of them? Yeah. So it goes back hand in hand. People are willing to step out of that traditional healthcare to get answers that they're looking for. I can't tell you how many women we've had where they're like, I know something is wrong, but my OBGYN writes it off, my PCP writes it off, my endocrinologist writes it off, and I'm at the point where I want to start taking care of my health. I'm willing to do whatever that takes.
Yeah.
So it does extend longevity. It does, give that extra step into making sure that it's unfortunate that we don't have that in traditional healthcare, but I do think people do see the value in keeping up with those kinds of diagnostics.
Yeah. And the consumers are definitely getting more sophisticated, which is
sure.
great for us, right? They are recognizing the shortcomings not only of traditional healthcare, they're realizing they have to be vigilant about their health and can't just like, hey, I'll just go to my doctor and whatever they say is what we're going to do. And like, again, doctors are great, fantastic. I'm not advocating against them, but it's a recognition that, hey, I have to take some ownership and stewardship of my own health. But even in the longevity space, right, there are parts of the longevity system, if you will, that are falling short as well.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see people start to have kind of a healthy skepticism about all of it and recognize like, I need to actually be a little bit more engaged in this process and understanding what's going on from top to bottom.
Yeah.